Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. So, what if there's a life tool you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Life. And you guys, this is book 5 in a really powerful series from lead author Anna Pereira. Huge shout out to Anna today before we get going. I am so grateful and honored to be on this journey with you, Anna. Your big vision has guided this book and your entire book series, including your entire community of amazing experts. I'm very, very grateful, and I cannot wait to introduce all of these amazing people to you all today. Desiree Holmes Sharini is a board certified award-winning master transpersonal hypnotherapist and life coach. She specializes in building personal intuition, spiritual exploration, and personal transformation. Welcome, Desiree.
It's really nice to be here.
Jill Alman-Bernstein is an intuitive and Akashic guide, helping clients clear emotional, psychic, and physical energy blocks through somatic breathwork and movement, and meditative journeys and readings in the Akashic Records. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you, Laura.
And Kim Wagner is here with us. She's a healer, best-selling author, and mindset coach, helping women over 40 to transform their health, overcome limiting beliefs, and create freedom and happiness in their life. Welcome, Kim. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
I'm excited to talk about tools for life. This book is an incredible gift to our readers. Desiree, I want to start with you. Would you take a moment to introduce the chapter that you wrote and tell us a little bit about your why behind it?
Sure. Well, my chapter is chapter 12, and it's titled How to Live Like You're Dying. And it was inspired because in May of last year, I was diagnosed with a really nasty cancer. And it was an awful surprise. And it's, it was quite surprising I thought I was anemic, right? So when I found out, like how really serious it was and how much it had already affected my health, it was like one of those, like, wait a minute, what do I do with this, right? So, so that was the chapters about that little journey of experiencing that, and then the tool was really something that I already use with my clients, but I really dived into for myself for a switch, and I, put a name to it. I tied in some other parts, and it's, the reason I wanted to write this chapter, I joined in this, collaboration, was one of my goals with my clients is to provide other people a shortcut, that the reader, my clients, can get there faster, can, kind of limit their suffering, in the what the heck, why me, and in any part of life. So I use that as my example to try to provide a tool for them to shift, and rethink. And the title of the tool is How to Have a Life-Changing forgot exactly, but how to have a life-changing, in 5 minutes, how to change your life, right? Thought process. And it really is. It's just the way that you can just turn that dial a little bit.
So for somebody who is a little bit in the chaos of the mind that is having the freak out, and this really is just a kind of also a personal question. It's like, you've been there too. We all have. What is that first step of the shift for you? If you could start someone off today on the little first step.
There's lots of key little phrases I can use, and depending on, like I work with clients a lot. So depending on the client, I kind of gear in. But one would be uh, become the observer. Like if you could imagine yourself just watching what's going on, it it helps to remove you from, the drowning waters. Picture yourself, you're the helicopter up here, right? And you can see your choices, you can see your reactions, you can watch your responses, you can change reactions into responses instead of flailing about. And also accepting that there's certain things you just can't control. Like if you could control everything, actually life might be a little boring, right? What challenges that, right? But they're just accepting that there's certain things. What can I do about this? Then you do it. And then if there's nothing else you can do about it, then you just say, okay, I'm going to accept that this is as things should be, whether I get it or not.
And if you can change your reaction to a response, that's a life-changing shift. Desiree, how are you doing? Are you
Well, today
feeling
was
good?
pretty crummy actually, up until like today was one of those days I'm like, oh my gosh, what a day. No, I'm doing okay. Actually in the chapter, uh, when I wrote it, I was anticipating going into a treatment that was going to be a lot harder on me. However, I haven't gotten there because I haven't responded to the treatment so far to get to the point where I can have that more intense treatment. So we're just still trying different protocols to get, my numbers down. Thankfully, really grateful. Here's another thing: gratitude for what is right, and I'm sure most of my fellow life coaches or healers or whatever on here can agree. Just taking the time to say, I'm so glad, considering everything, right? But I'm so glad that this is true or this is true. Like, I'm really grateful that I feel and I look relatively, well. I have my days, but I'm really grateful that I don't, I'm not experiencing or feeling as bad as my numbers look on my blood work. So it's like, if you were to look at that, it's like, what? I'm like, I am, I'm good. I'm good. So overall, I'm doing okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for saying yes to this project, and thank you for being here today to share it with everyone.
Thank you.
Jill, you're up next. Would you take a minute to intro your chapter? Tell us a little bit about your why.
Sure. So my name is Jill Alman-Bernstein, and I wrote chapter 14. The title is Carrying Love with Loss, The Sacred Sigh, How to Breathe Through Grief. So the why behind my story, I wrote this chapter because I had been grappling with the loss of my husband from a very serious and terminal cancer diagnosis. And I was trying to process what had happened with that diagnosis and the various treatments and the trauma of it all. I started to notice, each day after he had passed, and many times during the day, I would just sigh unknowingly, unintentionally. I would just be sighing. And I remember at one point, I started counting them and I was up to 20 sighs in a day. And I said to my daughter, oh my gosh, I did 20 sighs today. And I had no idea what was going on, but I remembered that my mother, after my father had passed away, had been sighing. And I had asked her, why are you sighing? And she couldn't tell me. And so being a breath and movement coach and really in tune, with somatic work, I really wanted to understand what I was experiencing and why. So I started to pay close attention to my breath. And then, of course, I was writing because I'm a writer first before anything. And so I was always making notes and journaling and writing passages about how I was feeling. And so out of that, I said yes, and this chapter and my tool were born.
Hmm. Oh my goodness, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing the process too with all of that and the chapter. Breathwork is a profound tool. I mean, straight across the board for lots and lots of things, breathwork is profound. For me, it felt like it always feels like a good breathwork session washes me out from the inside out. And I feel, I don't know, lighter, clearer, but it also can be intense. What do you want people to know about that piece? Like,
Yeah.
why should they try it?
Well, first of all, I totally agree and relate to everything that you just said about breath work. And I think that there are different sequences of breath work for different things and different purposes and different times. And so what I was really trying to do for myself was find a sequence of intentional and conscious breathing to help me begin to process and release the trauma of my loss, the grief, and the anxiety that I still feel. I mean, I did this morning, the sequence, and I tried to break it down into a very simple sequence so that you could do it anywhere. And it didn't take a long time and you didn't need someone to guide you. It was just something that I felt I needed. And I was really, really just driven to be able to offer this to some of the other women that I've met along my journey that have lost their husbands or have had any loss, any kind of loss. It's not just a spousal loss. So, I think that the thing that is very important is that we always have to take care of ourselves through whatever we're going through. And to me, breath work is the beginning of that. That's how it starts.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for saying yes to this project in the middle of your life, and turning it into something that's going to be amazing for other people. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It was very impulsive, but panicked for a minute. And then I just said, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And it was important. And it's the work that I want to share. So,
Yeah.
that's really the purpose of it all. Thank you.
Fabulous. All right, Kim, tell us a little bit about your chapter. Why don't you give us a little intro and give us your why?
Absolutely. So I wrote chapter 24, and the title of that is The Art of Letting Go, How to Calm Your Nervous System in Minutes. There's a bit of a similar theme going on here. A bunch of years ago, when both of my parents passed away from cancer within 15 months of each other. So there's a similarity here with our what we've experienced for sure. So I was 30 when my dad died, 31 when my mum died. And as you'll read in my chapter, they were sick at the same time. And so I was freaking out and my mind was all over the shop and I was trying to find solutions. And once they had both passed, I was on this mission to find a solution, and it caused a lot of chaos because it was just all consuming. It just kept on going and I was going down every path. And I found that I was a mess, actually. I was probably making myself unwell by worrying so much because I am a solution finder, but it was such a big task and there was so much involved. And now we know so much about health and well-being that my nervous system was shot. And over the years, I did a lot of training. I became a Buddhist and I was going to Buddhist classes and I went to India and did all of the things, to calm myself, and became a Reiki master. And I learned a lot of tools, as we do, along the way. But what I realized was that the key for me and the key for all of my clients to get started is to calm your nervous system, to actually calm everything right down and just let it all fall away. Because if you're in a heightened state all the time, it's very, very unhealthy. We know that. It doesn't feel so good. Your experience is not very fun. And when you let everything go and your nervous system is calm, you start to allow the being rather than the doing. So intuition is sparked again. You can be in touch with your higher self, your true self, and you can start finding your own answers. They just come to you intuitively. And for me, that changed my life completely. And I now use it with my clients. And it doesn't matter what age, what gender, what's going on in life. The tool that I use helps everyone. And particularly when I'm working with teenagers, because they look at me and they say, I do not know what you just did, but that was awesome. Because they're so used to the chaos, because life is like that right now. And so for me, whenever I have a moment, whenever I have a lot going on, or I feel a little bit overwhelmed, or I feel like there's too much going on and I'm a little bit fractured with my nervous system, I just find a quiet place, and in 5 minutes, I am completely calm and everything's good. Everything's better. And then I find that living in gratitude, living in calm, having the chaos gone, it's quietened. I feel like then we can make the decisions that are good for us. And it's so much healthier on a cellular level, a spiritual level, sort of every part of us. So yeah, it's been quite life-changing. And that's what drew me to contribute to the book, because I know it's something that's really needed.
Oh, goodness. If I'm walking around and I need your tool, how do I know? What's the symptom you find people are getting to this point and then it's like, oh my gosh, I need help? What are they feeling?
It's almost like a nervousness. It's almost like you can't think straight. You can't focus on one thing. You've got a million things pulling at your mind. You feel like there's not enough time to get things done. There's just so much to do. It's kind of when you get to that stage that you know that there's something going on. And if you stop for a moment, if you actually just stopped wherever you were, stopped in the street, closed your eyes and felt into yourself, you would feel that your energy is kind of almost quivering. It's hard to explain unless you know what I'm talking about. You can just feel that it's off. And this is something that will just calm you very, very quickly.
Yeah. And thank you for trying to describe that, because, our listeners are at these places. And I appreciate you trying to describe something that's hard to describe, but you did it brilliantly. Thank you for saying yes to this project and for being here to share with everyone today. So, Jill, I'm coming to you with this question. When we're creating these collaborations and talking about health and wellness, we are definitely doing it from a holistic perspective. Why holistic?
Why holistic? Because it's our entire being. I mean, I think that it's so important to feel good on every level, on our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychic level. So those all combine for the whole body. And I don't know that, when we talk about holistic versus, traditional medicines, I think that there's a place for both. And having been through the journey that I was on with my husband and trying to dovetail, Reiki and vibrational medicine and angelic healing and, whatever else, crystal grids. And I mean, there's so many things that we did in addition to the chemo and the immunotherapy and all of the pieces that were on the medical side, nutrition. So I think it's really important that you have to look at yourself, and we as healers have to look at, our coaches have to look at our clients as a whole body, a whole person. And there's so many different facets and aspects of that.
Thank you for kicking that off so well. There are so many aspects to this. I love listening to you all answer these questions. Kim, what do you want to add to that? Like, why holistic? And I know Jill did a great job starting that question off. What do you want to put into that?
I want to say that holistic it's important because every single thing is connected, everything. You can't heal one part without healing all parts. So body, mind, spirit, everything's connected. So if your body is a bit out of whack, then your mental health and your spirituality is out of whack as well. We need to look at it as a holistic situation and know that, like I said, by healing one, you're healing all. But it just means that not any area is more important than the other. So we have to look at the whole thing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that addition to thinking about that. Okay. Desiree, I know it's hard to go third on this one, but there's ways you guys are talking about these topics that someone needs to hear your way of describing it, right? Like that's why we do the collaborative books as well. Why holistic for you?
Yeah, they stole my answers. Well, I guess my niche would be as a hypnotherapist. it makes it a little bit easier to answer in that realm, because it's not just about the body, right? And I think, you both touched on that spiritual side too, that there's honestly a bigger part of us than what's in the body, spiritually, energetically. That remembering that we're not, just like a lot of, the saying, you're a spiritual being in a physical body, right? So kind of remembering that, and that it can segue into, I don't, if I had it down, I'd be using it better. But there is that power of thought and intention, that energy, that choice to recognize that what's up here in the unseen astral vortex or whatever can change your experience of what you're going through. Like Kim said, for example, there's that nervous system thing going on. And sometimes you can't start from the body, you need to start from someplace else. That state of calm, that breathing, that energy state. If you have the time, I just want to throw in something funny about sound and frequency. My mom, several years ago, was very, very, well, not feeling well, just like she was going through her own health problems. She's passed now. But it was right around the time I was really kind of diving into frequency and vibration and kind of thinking, oh, isn't this cool? And I suppose all of you do that same sort of thing. Like, you're really into this for a while, then you're like, oh, crystals, right? But I took a speaker and I played the 528 hertz tone. And I put it, she was like in pain and uncomfortable and sad. And I put it right here on her belly, and she just started laughing so hard. She's like, what's that? Oh, it took her, I don't know what happened, but it took her someplace completely different. Her pain went away and she got these big belly laughs. She had the best time. So, there's things that we can't explain always, but they work.
Yeah, great story to talk about that. Thank you. And thanks all three of you for answering that. As a former physical therapist, always trained about the body, but I trained in myofascial release therapy, and my holistic 2 cents is, even for the body, to not look at the whole picture, you're going to miss something. So somebody would come in, a client would come in with, ankle pain. And if I'm not looking at the fascial system that is head to toe, I could be missing something way up here in the neck that's creating a tug or a problem that's manifesting down opposite of the body in the ankle, right? And so for me as a physical therapist, looking at the whole body, holistic approach, I wasn't going to really help someone unless I had that kind of approach to what I was doing there. And then mental, emotional, if I forgot to ask the person, hey, how's it going, and missed that they had some major life trauma that week, like a mental, emotional trauma, I would also be missing a piece of their healing, that something that could help them, right? So speaking to that mind, body, soul, spirit, there's so many wonderful ways to talk about why holistic and how that helps people.
Can I just jump in, because I actually have 2 different ankle injuries, and my physical therapist last week said to me, have you ever done cranial sacral therapy? And I had, and she says, I really think that that's what you should do next. So, and I wouldn't have thought about that, so it's interesting that you brought it up. And then the other thing is that with the hypnotherapy, so I work in the Akashic Records. And so there's a lot of things that come up, past life blocks, past life energies that are affecting people. And so what I found is the breath work gets amplified, the healing gets amplified in that space. So, again, it's not necessarily, it's holistic, but it's like, it's out there. It's out there.
It is. I mean, that's another beautiful way to think about holistic. What about, that type of thing? This is exactly what I say when we are helping people to understand what's possible, to experience what's possible in all of those different ways. I love that. Love, love, love. Okay. Last question for all of you. And it's going to be hard to give me just the one thing, I know, but Kim, what's that one most important thing you want people to know about calming your nervous system? If you could sum it up.
Everything gets better. Once your nervous system is calm, everything gets better. Everything comes into flow, everything's in alignment, and your intuition can truly shine.
I love that. All right. We're going to need to read your chapter, aren't we? That's the whole point, you guys, is we're going to get to some of these foundational things, these things that will change everything. I get so excited about these books, you guys. Desiree, what's the most important thing you want people to know about making that mindset shift?
That even when you don't think you do, you always have a choice. You may not be able to choose outside circumstances, but you can choose what you do with those. And if you eliminate the word have to and say choose to, there's talk about energy. A whole different energy comes up that, I don't like the, consequences of either choice, but I'm choosing this one. That makes sense to you.
Powerful.
Remembering that you're always making your choices on how you want to respond.
Love it. That is powerful. Okay, Jill, give us the most important thing you want people to know about breathing through grief.
Well, I'm going to echo both of what my collaborators here said because I agree with both of those points. I think that the most important thing is that when you think about really taking a breath, it's a cleansing exercise. You're able to cleanse your energy. You're able to stop and kind of just disconnect from whatever your thought process is at that moment and really focus on what is happening in your body, your breath coming through, your breath going out. We can't always fix or change what is happening and the outcomes, but we can certainly change the lens that we are responding to it through. And also the most important thing is that, we have to know that it's in our power to love ourselves and our loved ones. And part of that is understanding that breathing is life. And if we take the time to breathe, we're giving ourselves that self-love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, all three of you. Jill, Kim, Desiree, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. You guys, this is way more than a book. This is a generous community of experts. Maybe something today that one of them said resonated, maybe gave you the goosebumps. You've got a question. Drop down into the show notes because I have everybody hooked up with their websites and their links, and they're waiting for you to reach out, ask that question, carry on a conversation about what we started talking about today. Very grateful for this community. We also hope that you hop over to Amazon today to grab this beautiful book, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Life. You guys, go grab your copy. And remember to gather over at The Wellness Universe for everything coming up about the series, the books, the activities, events, and including becoming one of our expert authors in the next book in the series. So lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.